Hey, buddy. So I want to get into how much power the president actually have, because there's a little bit of a buzz out there about RFK, and he seems like an alright dude, man. But I just want to say I don't think anybody, no matter who they are, has the ability to do it. If you're gonna try to go be president, I don't think you can really change shit the way that it needs to be changed in order to really help save the day. So let's just take a look at what this article has to say from the New York Times about presidents have less power over the economy than you might think. All right, here we go. So I can't read, my eyes get bad. All right, here we go. All right, presidential reputations rise or fall with great domestic product. The state of economy can determine if presidents are reelected, and it shapes historical memory of their success or failure. In the news media, we often use the handover of power as the time for assessing the economic record of the departing president. I've done it myself recently. Some economists have predicted that the Trump administration could create the next recession or financial crisis, and scholars have studied the relative economic conditions generated by Republicans and Democrats for predictive meaning. Democrats have done better since World War II, they found. All right, but the reality is that presidents have far less control over the economy than you might imagine. Presidential economic records are highly dependent on the dumb luck of where the nation is in the economic cycle, and the White House has no control over the demographic and technological forces that influence the economy. Even in areas where the president really does have power to shape the economy, appointing Federal Reserve governors, steering fiscal and regulatory policy, responding to crisis and external shocks, the relationship between presidential action and economic outcome is often uncertain and hard to prove. It's this quirk in how we think that unfairly enhances the reputation of Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton, while unfairly diminishing the presidents of Jimmy Carter and both George Bushes. And if you think of financial markets as the hyperactive cousin of the economy itself, this mental framework can cost you money. We all have a tendency to think that a president whose policies we disagree with will be bad for the economy and the stock market, but looking at markets in such starkly political terms can lead to bad decisions. Ask a conservative who refused to invest in stocks while they notched a 182% gain during the Obama presidency, or a liberal who shorted stocks after Donald J. Trump won in November. So, what tools does a president actually have to shape economic outcomes? Fewer than you might think. Let's walk through the factors that determine economic results, from those that are more purely luck to those that do reflect a president's skill at overseeing the economy. Timing the business cycle. When George H.W. Bush took office in January 1989, the unemployment rate was 5.4%, and the roaring 1980s expansion was near its peak. When Bill Clinton succeeded him in January 1993, the unemployment rate was 7.3% and failing, as the United States was finally shaking off the damage of a recession. That bit of timing alone, taking office at the top of the business cycle versus the peak, can help explain much of how we perceive a president. Mr. Bush, of course, was a one-term president, while Mr. Clinton was handily reelected. President Obama's luck on this front was somewhere between those extremes. He took office in the middle of a steep downturn, but some simple math shows just how much the timing of the 2008-9 recession relative to Inauguration Day mattered. Mr. Obama is set to leave office with cumulative job growth of 8.4% over his 8 years in office. But if he had taken office 13 months earlier in December 2007, he would have presided over a putrid 3.4% growth. If he had taken office in February 2010, when employment hit rock bottom, he would be on track to see blockbuster 14% job growth in 80 years, assuming 2017 job creation turns out to be equivalent to 2016. But put simply, when you take office at the bottom of recession and with unemployment high, you can achieve a lot of growth just from the natural healing of the economy. When you take office at the top, there's nowhere to go but down. Well, I mean, you can always expand the top if you know how to keep on expanding. That's why the perpetuation of life and love. I mean, as long as there's more problems, then there's always more opportunities to grow. So that's where our whole perception and the way of capitalism is fucked up, because they do reach peaks, and then it's like once you get to the peak of making money, like it is hard to continue making more money because people only have so much money to spend. But that's why we need to change the whole incentive of what drives societies. All right, so this may presage, I've never heard that word before, bad news for Mr. Trump. given that the jobless rate was relatively low, 4.7% in December. So anyway, I could keep going on, but the point is, this article, New York Times article, is telling us that these presidents really don't have as much power as we probably think that they do. And again, according to this beast system, it's easy when you put a president out there, when you put that face out there, like the president, it's the president, like that's the present. He's the one setting the president of the situation. Like, that's easy to point him. It's easy to use him as a scapegoat. It's easy to use him as a distraction, to make him appear like he's the one responsible for all this shit. When meanwhile, it's a bunch of these fucking people and entities that you're not going to even see or hear of behind the scenes pulling the strings. So anyway, I bring this up because I'm getting to the food crisis that we have here in America and the rest of the world. It's not like, again, RF Kennedy, like, as good as he may be, and I don't even really know, to be honest. I don't even think, even if his heart was in the absolute most good and beautiful place, I don't think anybody could change things the way they need to be changed in order to change the food market, the way we process food, the way we grow food, the way we distribute food, the way we exploit third world countries, in order to really change things for the better. So in order to do that, we have to detach and build our own infrastructures and businesses. And in order to do that really the right way, to keep the greed away and keep evil spirits from coming in, because there's an allowance to everything. So this is why I keep telling people, like, you got to stop working for profit, because when you do that, you're inherently greeding yourself. That's why we're breeding greed. We have a ton of millionaires here in America, yet we still have starving children all over the place. That in itself tells you something. That's a greedy thing to do, to have a ton of fucking money and to not really be doing anything good with it is just, like, in my opinion, not right. It's not harmonious with life. It's not harmonious with love, and it's just a selfish thing to do. And that's what we've been built and bred to be here in America, is just to be these self-serving families that don't even connect to the communities anymore. We just need to worry about our own little fucking bubble, and then as our bubble shrinks, we become even more selfish because we become more dependent, more afraid that we're going to lose the little bit that we have, and then we become fucking angry and we point the finger, and it's all really just set up to keep us in a low vibrational reality. Meanwhile, we're working these jobs that are perpetuating this fucking evil empire, and they're continuing to sit back and fucking gain all this profit and smile at us and laugh at us while we continue to point the finger at all this other bullshit. But meanwhile, we could just focus on hemp, non-profit businesses, getting back to nature and living in harmony with nature, and fucking, focusing on love and having good, loving relationships instead of all these toxic fucking relationships and all these people without any fucking friends. But anyway, all right, I love you guys. Y'all take care. Bye.